Today we're reviewing how well the Framework Laptop 13 mainboard running the AI 300 series runs games on Bazzite. Let's go! Welcome back to the channel. My name's Jscar, and today we're going to be checking out the Framework 13 laptop. I went through and bought mine back in 2021. I have upgraded it a few different times. This is my original chassis, so it's starting to show some wear, including at least one of the screws not holding on anymore, but this is still a daily driver. I'm using this every single day. This is still captivated on the inside, just the socket that you plug it in or screw it into on the back side no longer holds. Everything else is working great. As far as setups, I'm going through and using USB-C and HDMI on the left-hand side. Obviously, you have that headphone jack that's built in, and then on the other side, I'm using USB-C and a full USB-A. This is running the AMD Ryzen AI 300 series, specifically the AI 5 340. So I ended up fitting this with 16 gigs of RAM through an NVMe, and I installed Bazzite onto there because I wanted to go through and see how well Linux gaming would work on this laptop. So this is the specs of the machine. We're up and running. Now, specifically, if you're going to be going through and gaming on this, I would highly suggest you need to get more airflow. In my testing, which by all means I am not a Linux gaming tester, I'm specifically looking at open and highly repairable hardware and doing some gaming on this. I've been a long-time Linux user. There was a significant decrease in heat when you put it up on this like post-it note. It was 4 degrees Celsius difference. So jumping into Helldivers 2, these are the settings. I've got everything on medium quality. I played with this quite a bit and tried to find the best settings. When you're doing a very low level of Helldivers 2, there's not much going on screen, so it was holding about 20 frames per second. I played with it a little bit more. One of the things I found out is that most of the time you actually need to go through and restart the game for those effects to completely take hold. So it's cool, go ahead and play with things a little bit here, but the long story short, you're gonna need to restart and be able to have that load in properly. That's at least as of right now, which is September of 2025. I'm getting this uploaded on October of 2025. So I'm happy to say that it's actually somewhat playable. So if you're looking just to get a little bit of gaming in, it's fine. Do make sure that there is enough airflow that it is able to keep the machine cooler while you're playing. So with that, a couple of different just beginner quests here. Then we're going to jump into a little bit later on where I start tweaking a bit more to find out if I can get better looking graphics along with this. When I go here, go through and adjust things to where, let's adjust it to 1920 by 1440. Seemed a little bit smoother, but the frames per second, you can clearly see up in that top left-hand corner, it's like 15 frames or so. A little bit more action going on screen for this gameplay, including being able to go through and throw some stratagems in and seeing things blow up on screen. So the fog and the mist are working. It's just a little bit laggy. So when you're seeing things on screen, you can see the frame rate drops a bit, but surprisingly playable, which is interesting. So checking this out, this is pulling about 75C. If we switch over to Baldur's Gate 3, for whatever reason, the pop-up menu that's built into Steam that you can go through and turn on for performance mode didn't show up in the recording, so I'll have to fix that in the future. So you don't actually have a frame rate on this. This one I ended up turning down the resolution a little bit and then putting the presets to high, hitting that auto detect, and it actually defaulted to high, which is kind of nice. A little bit of gameplay here. This is not a first-person shooter. This is more of a strategy D&D like game, so things aren't very graphic heavy. So again, I was surprised to say that it was playable. So not gonna bore you too much with going on here, but it worked out pretty well. I was happy with how it looked. Again, it was playable. If you had no gaming machine versus just wanted to do a quick gaming session, maybe for an hour or two, this would work just fine. On to Cyberpunk 2077, and this is a very demanding game if you turn everything up on high. So what I went through, I played with this quite a bit and ended up getting like 21 frames per second. Okay, Not competitive gaming whatsoever, but the fact is this is running on a 13-inch framework. I'm pretty impressed. So we ran with the Steam Deck presetting for this benchmark, and then after we did the benchmark, cutting into the very end of the benchmark, we actually throw up on screen the settings that it's gone through and done. So if you want to check that out, you can pause it. Here's actual gameplay as we're going through and working with it. Again, the performance ticker did not show up in the top corner, but again, it was playable. So as we go here, we're trying not to show too much graphic things on screen, but hey, there is gameplay, it's working, and yeah, had fun with it. Again, was super surprised compared to like using the Framework 16-inch with the dedicated graphics card. This played pretty decently. So with that, the last thing I wanted to go through and show was if you were going to go through and use this as a local LLM machine, the new hardware that's running the AMD AI CPU actually runs pretty quickly. And I'm a big fan of going through and self-hosting things, so I ended up grabbing Alpaca, Flatpak, and then downloading Gemini, downloading a couple other ones as well. Mistral was another one, asking it different questions, and you can actually see on the left-hand side of the screen the B-top responding and showing the CPU being asked on and taxed while it's going through and using the LLM, and then switching to a different LLM and asking the same question again, see how fast or how slow it responds. And then so we show Granite 3, Mistral, Granite 3.2, ask the same question, and then you can see how efficient or inefficient some of these different LLMs are. Just getting into the LLM world and self-hosting these things, so if you have any suggestions there, hit me up. I'm happy to be able to deep dive onto it. Then I ended up asking a other question. Okay, so let's go through and ask how you would install a piece of software on Fedora, and just again typing it into Alpaca, which is a Flatpak that you can install onto any Linux distribution. And after I type in the question, I'm going to ask all three LLMs, and you can see that the taxing of the CPU is on the top left-hand side, the bar that will jump up and down. So here's quite a few different parameters that it's going through and reaching out. You can go through and see it typing, and then see how much power is being used from the B-top side of the house. And then you can use your drop-down menu and change it to a different LLM model and ask the same question, see if you get a different answer. So if there are anything that you want to go through and see run on the Framework 13-inch laptop with the updated AMD AI 340 CPU, let me know. I was pretty impressed with this thing, and while I am running the 7th gen Ryzen 7 on my Framework 16-inch laptop, I am super impressed, because when these AMD AI CPUs were announced, the CEO of Framework was talking about how he was playing Final Fantasy 15 on max settings, and I thought that was pretty impressive. The fact that you can do that even with the low-end AMD AI CPU, I'm pretty impressed with. So if you're looking for an upgrade, I would suggest go check out the AMD updates to their CPU. So if you're using an older framework with the Intel side of the house, I would absolutely give my thumbs up in saying go through that update process and go get a new internal so you can replace both the motherboard that comes with the new CPU. If you're coming from DDR4 RAM, you will need to upgrade to DDR5, but if you are replacing that motherboard, the cool thing is you can also get a case from Cooler Master and or from the Framework store and utilize that previous motherboard CPU combo and make it a self-hosted server, which is great. I've got a few of them, including some of the RISC V setups that they've gone through and sold in the past. So if you want to see anything as comparisons between the older versions and the current version, please leave me a like, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the future.